are now watching the College Baseball Insider Show.
He's behind him. This is hammered. Left field, and we are tied. Wow.
Now, here are your hosts, giving you an inside look into the top matchups.
What's up? What's up? This is not the host that you would expect from the intro. I guess this is becoming such a regular thing. We're going to have to get you a picture or something. What's up, Andrew? I'm joined once again by Andrew Ellis, Baumbastic Podcast, and Natty State Sports, repping Happy Dad once again, and the Natty State Sports shirt. Shout out Manson.
Right as we were going live, I was looking at my hat and I was like, I think I wore this on this show, like the first time I did it. Which was, that just happened to, I haven't worn this hat since. This is the first time I've worn this hat since. I just hope the viewers that this is like the third time they've seen me and the second time I've worn this hat. I hope they don't think that I just wear it every day.
Well, if you're superstitious, which I know a lot of baseball fans are, right? Whatever you wore last week, you gotta throw that out. We got a new weekend. We've got to bounce back hard. And just to kind of recap the Kentucky series, I know we talked about it on our recap show Monday, and I know your podcast, Baumbastic, you had a pretty long-winded response to that. And I think the biggest question that Razorback fans want to know is this team good enough to make it to Omaha?
Yeah, they're good enough to make it to Omaha.
Thank you.
And the reason why they're good enough to make it to Omaha is because they're not going to have to leave Baum-Walker Stadium to do that. Most likely. Now, obviously, if they really, fall apart here down the stretch, who knows? But they're going to be back in Baum-Walker Stadium this weekend. Who knows? If we'll talk about the series later and all, their chances of winning it. But I just think they have a good chance to be a top 8 national seed. And this team has won at a very high rate at home. Like all of the weekends that have really made you concerned about this team, Arlington, that we watched where they really struggled to get really anything going offensively all weekend. The Alabama series that they obviously lost. The South Carolina, there was some weird moments. And obviously Kentucky this past weekend. None of those were at Baum-Walker Stadium. Now, obviously that's still a concern because obviously if they're going to win a national title, you're going to have to play well outside of Baum. But in terms of just, can this team still make a deep run? Are they built to make a deep run? I think when you look at just this team as a big picture and what they've done this year at home and just overall the pedigree, you trust DVH. Yes, this team. Let's calm down here for a second. I've also got people writing Brady Tygert's obituary after a rough outing the other day. They're like, man, I hope he can find a JUCO to go. I'm like, geez. Like they were like, how do we replace him? And, it's like, guys, just we don't have to take what we just saw and extrapolate it through the entire season. Like it hasn't been like that all year.
Yep. I think H-Fan said it best. Yes, it is. We will win the College World Series.
And H-Fan knows ball. He knows ball.
We'll wrap up the show. That's it.
There you go. Appreciate you having me on, man.
That's all you needed to know. Okay, so Mississippi State, this is kind of a sneaky good team that has crept up in the top 25. They're ranked number 14 now. I just wanted to go through. They won the series against Alabama. They won a series at Vanderbilt. They lost the Friday night game. They swept Auburn, and they lost a series at Ole Miss. It's kind of like a hot and cold. They lost at Florida. So it does worry me a little bit that they've proved that they can go on the road and win. But this is a big bounce back spot for the Razorbacks. I mean, I feel like it's all hands on deck at this point. I love the fact that we didn't have a midweek. We've like barred the players from getting to go into and work out. Like take your mind off baseball, relax, get done with finals, and then it's all systems a go.
100%. I mean, and I talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but I think that rest, not having to play a midweek game, and this is the final week of classes for the Arkansas Razorbacks. These are student athletes now. We do need to remember that. I think that'll help for sure, help just refresh and being back at home. Final home regular season weekend of the season. The crowd will be juiced up. It won't be hard for Arkansas to get up for this series. And, Mississippi State's been playing well. I think Mississippi State has been good all year. I mean, they're number 14 in the country. It's not, they're not in that desperation mode that I feel like not Arkansas. I don't think Arkansas is in desperation mode, but I think if you're just going by who really needs to pull through here, I feel like Arkansas, there's a little bit more pressure on them than there is Mississippi State. And you mentioned Mississippi State's proven they can win on the road, but nobody's better away from their home park, obviously. And the Razorbacks in particular are really good at their own. I just have a hard time not feeling pretty good about this matchup. But, yeah, Mississippi State is pretty well rounded and offer a decent amount of problems. I really like their starting pitching, and I think it's going to be a really fun series at Baum-Walker, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, assuming I've got the projected weekend rotation based off what they threw last week. If it is Cal Steven and then Urangelo Senja, I think that is how you actually pronounce it after watching like
Senja?
video. Senja, Urangelo.
Okay. I straight up said Sagente on my podcast today. I'm just gonna tell. I'm just gonna. I said 100% that's but I mean, I don't know. Durangelo is it. That's what he is. He's Durangelo.
Brooks, Auger going at, I don't know what the status is of Nate Dom. Evan Sierra was also another guy that they started a few games. I'm not sure who it's going to be in game 3, but your best projection for Arkansas, do you think we see Gage Wood as a starter, or do you think it sticks with Hagan, Brady, Mason?
I think that they will stick with the same rotation they have all year. I think it does. It's worth noting that DVH didn't commit to that on Monday whenever he was meeting with the media at the Swatters Club, and kind of issued a challenge publicly on Saturday, saying that Gage Wood is coming for someone's job. If Gage Wood's going to start, that means someone's got to not start. And I think I think it was definitely notable, and I think DVH did that on purpose. I think he knew exactly what he was doing and what he was saying. Wanted to get the attention of his guys, but I do ultimately think he's going to lean with the older, more experienced arms, who frankly, I mean, Mason Molina has started every game that he's pitched in the last 2 seasons. Through like 100 innings at Texas Tech last year. He started every game he's pitched in this year. I think it's, moving him to the bullpen is not something you just casually do. Brady Tigers obviously had a lot of experience out of the bullpen, but even him, I think they really like having him in a starting role to take care of his arm, make sure he doesn't have any issues, he can warm up properly. I think that, Gage Wood, Arkansas likes him. He's been pitching really well. I mean, if you're just going off of has he earned the right? Absolutely. I think Arkansas should feel comfortable starting Gage Wood in a game, and I'm sure we'll see that at some point, whether it's regular season, Hoover, maybe NCAA tournament, who knows? I think Arkansas would feel good about it, but I think it's a lot. The bigger issue here is, how do you take Brady Tigert and just move him to the bullpen and try to act like nothing happened? I think that would be a much riskier maneuver than fans are pretending it would be. Regardless of who you pick, whether it's Molina or Tigert. That's why ultimately I think DVH is going to give them the benefit of the doubt, give them a week. Now, hey, if both those guys go out there and stink again, who knows? Then we can kind of have that conversation seriously, and it probably needs to, be a thing. But I think right now, I think you're going to see those guys get another crack this weekend. If I had to guess, we'll hear from DVH tomorrow at like 10 a.m.
That's what worries me a little bit, just because you really want to have your rotation settled at this point of the season. Yeah. And I think we do. I think people were quick to, throw out, Mason's not going to be able to start. Tigert's not good. Like, come on, guys. Look back just even a month ago when Tigert really turned it around and started pitching well. We still had the top team. We still have the top pitching staff in the country. And like you brought up on your show, is who do you bring in after him? Like, would you rather trust Mason Molina for the first 3 or 4 innings and then be able to bring in a Gage Wood or a Gackle or Will McIntyre, assuming that Will gets it right too? Or would you try to throw Tigert or somebody out of the pen? Like, at the end of the day, you trust your horses that have gotten you to this point. We're a 40-win team. I don't think it's broken. Let's not try to fix it right now.
100%. And also, I just think, if you are a fan, like I'm not even agreeing with the fans that say this, but if you're a fan who really trusts Gage Wood and you really trust Gabe Gackle, wouldn't you want them pitching with the game on the line? Like, I feel like the starting rotation is not as consequential as people seem to think it is. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you have a guy like Tigert who has shown he can eat up 5-6 innings and pitch at a high level, but he also has those outings where he doesn't have the consistency and command, you can usually, in the postseason, you can spot that early. You'll know after 2 innings of Brady Tigert whether he's got his stuff or not. You can usually tell. If he doesn't, you have a guy in Gage Wood who can extend and stretch out. You have a guy in Will McIntyre when he's pitching well can extend and stretch out. Like, you have a guy in Gabe Gackle who you've been kind of saving for moments like this. I think if you move someone like Gage Wood or Gabe Gackle into that starting rotation, there's no guarantee it solves that issue. You know what I mean? And I think it's just, a guy like DVH with the arms that Arkansas has, it's not that hard to manage when you have so many pitchers that are capable of kind of eating up innings and bridging that gap for you. And you've got a starter in Hagen Smith who's given you 6 or 7 every start. it really makes it a little bit easier for them to do what they have to do to get by each weekend. Some weekends we've seen Mason Molina and Tiger both are capable of giving them 5-6 legitimately good innings, but some weekends they run into some trouble. I think that Arkansas is equipped to handle either situation, and it's not as dire as it seems after the Kentucky starts, where both guys really just struggle to get it going.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were ready to just fold up on this team after struggling on the road. I mean, Kentucky's a good team. They're not great by any means. I feel like even on a neutral or definitely at Baum, we win that series. And you could say that against Alabama too. Our other series lost on the road.
Yeah.
Shout out Sean. Thanks for watching it. I'll be hanging out with him in Las Vegas next weekend for the A&M series. And I'll bring you an Arkansas shirt, Sean.
Arkansas is going to need some juice next weekend, man. Yeah, you definitely need to be locked in.
Okay, so you were talking about just the past College World Series champions, and I dove into it a little bit with the advanced analytics, weighted runs created, Sierra on every College World Series champion. This is going to make you sick because the one outlier was 2018, Oregon State. Arkansas should have won the College World Series.
The numbers say that. That's interesting.
Yeah. But so going back in the data, and the furthest back I can go with the advanced analytics was 2017. Every season since then, the champion has had at least 7 batters that are hitting over 100, so above average in weighted runs created plus, and have had at least 5 pitchers that have had under a 3 Sierra. So as of right now, Arkansas is on the cusp of that. We have 7 of the batters, so we've reached there. But we have 8 pitchers that have a sub 3 Sierra.
That's interesting.
So we have all the makings of it. The other teams that are qualifiers right now are A&M, Tennessee, East Carolina, Florida State, Clemson, Kentucky. There are a few others that are close but not there yet, like a Georgia, Oklahoma, or Oregon State, and Mississippi State. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
I would not have guessed that Arkansas had the 7 hitters that met the threshold.
Yep. 7.
Well, I bet Ross Lovich is in that group, isn't he?
Right there. He's at 96.
Oh, so he's not at 100? Okay.
No, not yet at 100. And I can go through them in a minute. But another thing, too, that I wanted to pull just to calm Hog fans, okay? We're bad on the road. But like Andrew said earlier, if all things go well, we shouldn't have to play on the road per se. Now, I get it. Omaha is on the road, but that's a neutral field, and it is very, very, very beneficial to the pitching staff.
I was going to say, you think Arkansas is not built to thrive in Omaha? Like, if people say that, they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, frankly, like Omaha is built for Arkansas. Arkansas has a bunch of fly ball pitchers, bro. All their pitchers are fly ball pitchers.
Exactly. Yeah, you look back, even the runs that Hagen Smith has given up, it's usually a solo shot home run. I mean, and those aren't going to beat you 9 times out of 10.
Hopefully James Madison doesn't get to Omaha. Hopefully they don't, because they got Hagen Smith's number, dude.
Dave Van Horn builds, I feel like every single year, he builds the perfect team to Omaha. Now, the key is getting there, obviously. Yeah. But you look back at the teams like with Patrick Wicklander, Kevin Kopps, like that team would have thrived in Omaha. They probably would have won it all.
I definitely, I 100% think so.
H-Fan Molina is usually a home run.
Yeah, he got an 0-2 fastball turned around on him the other day by that Kentucky lefty. That was tough. Yeah. But he gives him a lot of home runs. I think all of his runs the other day were home. I think he gave up a solo shot and a 2-run shot, both of which barely got out too.
But going back to the stats of it, Arkansas had, I think, 8 batters in weighted runs created in that 2018 team. We had 5 pitchers under the 3 Sierra. Oregon State had 1, and they won. So
was the one outlier? Was the one Heimlich?
I don't think so. I was kind of surprised by just the one, but he really turned it on late.
Dude, that Oregon State lineup was nasty too. Yeah. I think they had a better lineup than Arkansas. I don't know what the numbers say. I feel like they had just a slightly better lineup, but Arkansas's pitching staff, they mentioned just the one guy there. I liked Arkansas's top 6 guys that year a lot. You're talking about Knight, Rogers, Murphy. I did that on the pod the other day. Casey Murphy is from Rogers. And I'm like, Casey Rogers. Nope. Casey Murphy from Rogers. But him, Isaiah Campbell, who really wasn't even that great in 2018, but then like Cronin, Reindl, Losky. That was a group right there. And I feel like Arkansas's got an even better pitching staff this year.
We do. And the numbers would say that. I mean, we have consistently been the number 1 team in the country. I feel like this weekend's going to show a lot to just calm Hog fans' minds. I really think this team could have needed the rest that they're getting. But, yeah. I mean, I know we'll see. That's why they play the game. But H-Fan said they were. I can't remember what we were talking about.
I think it was about 2021 and how I think they were really equipped to win in Omaha. I was talking about that on the pod today. Like right. Kevin Kopps, you would have been able to pitch him like every game because if you win, you get a day in between games. So it's like they literally could have like thrown him 4 innings, win game 1, 3 innings, then 2 days later to get to 2-0. Then you have another day off in between. It's like I feel like they probably could have just thrown him 3-3-3 like all the way through. And then obviously they didn't lose a 3-game series all year except for the one they lost in the Supers. But it's like if you get to a final, like I think it was Vanderbilt who came from the other side or from that side that Arkansas they would have played Mississippi State in the finals, who they swept at Starkville.
Hopefully they can avoid TCU. Yeah, I don't think TCU is going to be that type of team this year, but that's a lot of the reason over at collegebaseballinsiders.com, which if you haven't checked it out, you're able to pull all of these stats that you see in front of you and create your own matchup preview, which actually has Arkansas winning this series 2-1 on the projections, losing the Saturday start for Brady Tigers.
God, that's Saturday night. Everyone's going to be freaking out so bad. We're going to lose tomorrow, and then we're going to get swept by Aggies. It's going to be tough.
I'll be there Friday night. Are you going to be there?
I will be there. My parents are coming in town. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with my parents during the weekend. Like if I can get them tickets, cool. But like, it's like I'm going to have to figure something out, but I do plan to be there for all 3 games. I'm hoping. And hopefully I will have a couple old folks sitting next to me.
But talking about going back to our road struggles, our weighted runs created at home is 120. So we're hitting 20% above average. On the road, it's 70. So we're 30% lower. And I feel like that's a pretty common theme that most teams may not be that drastic of a change, but teams play better at home. So yeah. I don't put a whole lot of stock in, we lost a series away at Kentucky. This team is terrible. There was nothing that I saw last weekend that we have not talked about all season long with this team. Yes, sometimes we struggle to get on base. We struggle with runners in scoring position. Every team struggles with runners in scoring position. Every team. That is the one thing that I feel like if you ask every single fan base, why did y'all lose that game? Stranded too many players. Yeah.
You know what else? My favorite one is this. If Arkansas loses one of their first 2 games in the regional, they're going to have an uphill battle. I'm like, yeah. That's how it works. You lose one of the first ones. You got to win 3 or 4 in a row. That's how it works.
And you look back, I know you talked about it earlier, but Hagen Smith, you assume he'll stay in the rotation as the game 1. Do you throw Hagen against the 4 seed or you hold him?
Yeah, you got to hold him. I mean, look,
I couldn't believe Paul Skeens threw. I think whoever they played,
he threw a bunch too. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I would hold Hagen for that game too. I mean, unless you feel like you're 2 or 3 seeds, like you're just not threatened by them at all. All right, but it's like no, I think you go whoever. You can pick Tiger or Molina. You could throw Gage Wood. Arkansas did that. They threw Caleb Boldman game 1 in 2021, which they immediately regretted. But I feel like you could kind of, if you can't beat whatever your 4 seed is, whether it's Little Rock, whether it's whoever, like if you can't beat the 4 seed with your second or third best arm, then you probably don't deserve to make a run here. And also, I just like, there's going to be a team that'll hold their ace against Arkansas. I remember TCU did it with Nick Lodolo in 2019. Shout out to Jim Schlossnagel. And I remember it almost worked out for him. Arkansas ended up beating him like 2-1 against Isaiah Campbell. But you usually want to have your best guy. And I mean, Arkansas's best guy got beat last year whenever they had Hagen throw against TCU. But you'd rather lose with your best guy than, lose because you pitched him in a 10-1 game against Little Rock.
Yeah, I saw that. D1 has, if we're the 5 seed, which I really think we're going to have a chance to improve that, I would really like us to get back down in the top 4 at least. And I feel like a series win over Mississippi State. And then even if you take 1 of 3 against A&M, I feel like that's going to keep us in the top 4. Plus, I'm not completely sold on this Clemson team. I mean, you may have different thoughts, but they're deep, but they're not very good. And I don't think the ACC is as elite as what it has been in years past. There's a lot of teams that I feel like if you look at the 4th best team in the SEC compared to the 4th best team in the ACC, that SEC school is winning 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I don't think Wake Forest is as good this year, right? In the ACC?
No, but I think Clemson actually goes on the road and plays them this weekend, and I think Wake should be able to get that series win, which would be big for the Hogs because I feel like at that point we would jump them.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming we beat Mississippi State.
It is always so funny how, like, while Arkansas was losing to Kentucky and fans were like freaking out and saying, like, man, A&M's going to crush this team. Like, A&M's getting pieced up by LSU. It's just how this works.
I'm of the belief that A&M may have just peaked too soon. And I think
hey,
a lot
of
it
would be a real
was
shame.
They hadn't played a whole lot of tough competition in the SEC, but I think you could say the same thing about Arkansas. Like,
yeah,
let's not lie. We had the benefit of the doubt, not having to play Tennessee, not having to play Georgia. Like, those are 2 big.
For sure.
But we also
or even Vanderbilt, who might suck also.
Yeah, Vanderbilt, I feel like, is overrated.
But LSU really shut down A&M's top bats this past weekend.
It's the 1 time out of 10 NC State. I deserve that. Yeah.
What'd you say? 9 times out of 10?
9 times out of 10, the 4th best SEC school is going to beat the 4th best ACC school. But at that
that
point,
year it was the 1st best SEC school against like the 5th best ACC school.
Yeah,
like, that was
NC State was like a team of destiny that year. They really should have won it all, to be honest. I think COVID was the culprit there. They had like a COVID 100%. Outbreak. And
they almost beat Vanderbilt with like 11 guys.
Yeah, that was terrible. But last thing I'll touch on the road, and this was kind of scary to me because pitching usually travels a lot better than your bats. That's why you want to anchor your team's success in their pitching staff. At home, we have a 3.04 ERA as a team, 2.34 Sierra. On the road, it's a 4.64 ERA, 3.40 Sierra.
Would not have guessed it would be that drastic.
1.5 worse.
I bet that's it's really a lot this weekend, honestly. This past weekend. Yeah. I bet before this weekend it probably wasn't that drastic. I'm sure they were worse on the road. I mean, like, I remember them giving up a ton of runs to Auburn in that one game. But like Bama, they really didn't give up much. Yeah,
the 7 runs in game 3 hurt a lot. But I also feel like it's all in the groove of, how our starters perform, because it's not really fair. If you're a Mason Molina, you've already given up 3 runs, you have bases loaded, and you have to go to somebody else. Like, as a team, that hurts our team pitching. But even though he's not responsible for them, it does suck. NC State forfeited after the COVID outbreak. Yeah, that's what I thought. Sucks,
but I think they did. They lost a game, I think. But I think it was when they played with like 12 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was messed up.
Roster in one of the games.
Dude, I remember when talking about people being worse on the road. I remember Hagen's freshman year, he was substantially worse on the road. And it was so frustrating because he would throw like 7 innings against LSU and then couldn't get out of the 3rd against A&M. And then he would throw like 6 innings against Kentucky and then couldn't get out of the 2nd against. And it's just like he would go back and forth. I remember thinking for a while, I was like, dude, Hagen's never going to be able to pitch away from Baum Walker. But then you see him pitching in Stillwater in the postseason and he comes alive. It's just one of those things.
It's big in spots. That's why I'm anxious to see what pitcher steps up, because I feel like it's going to be somebody. And I really hope it's Mason Molina or Brady Tigert. I mean, I love those guys. I know Tigert's been here for years. Mason feels like he's settled into Fayetteville nicely. I want to see him have success. And I feel like this weekend we're going to see a lot out of those two, just really turning it around. So what's your series prediction?
I think I agree with exactly what the model says. I have Arkansas like dropping game 2, winning game 3, and obviously they're not going to lose with Hagen Smith on the mound. That'd be that's impossible. Yeah. So, yeah, I think Arkansas takes the series 2-1. I think there's going to be a massive freak out when they lose game 2, and then they're going to win 5-3 on Sunday and be ranked like number 2 in the country on Monday.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know you've got a busy afternoon, so I can sit here and talk hogball with you, but I appreciate you coming on once again. Guys, if you're not following along, go follow Andrew and Natty State Sports. They're doing big things over there. Curtis and the boys, they're keeping you tuned in to everything Arkansas basketball in the offseason. Haven't really heard much about football, which at this point, that's kind of like third grade.
It's there. There's a football team in Arkansas.
There is a football team. That's about all we can report. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night for our Week 12 preview.